Hi, welcome to episode 3 of the Wokeish podcast. This is Ebony.
And this is Zelma.
And this week we are talking about something pretty cool and lighthearted. We're actually going to do a review of the first 3 episodes of the show You on Netflix. So season 1. And so this is kind of the point where if you have not seen the show and want to watch the show, be mindful that for the What's Being Slept On segment, there might be spoilers for the first, in talking about the first 3 episodes.
Yes.
So now we will start with our shout out segment.
Yes. And so our first shout out goes to my friend Arturo R. For not only finishing the police academy, but becoming a police officer. And so I just, we talk a lot about the bad cops and the cops who do bad things on the job and our frustration with the institution itself. And although he's still entering this institution that is hella problematic, I'm very proud because he was in the military, and once he finished the military, he was really trying to decide what to do as a job. And so he was doing different jobs, just trying to make money for his family. He has 3 kids. And when he told everyone he was joining the police academy, he was really excited. And then when he graduated, we were all congratulating him. And he's like, well, this doesn't mean anything without the job, because he was saying that, he didn't know if he was going to be able to get a job. And so he finally got one, and we're just really excited and very proud of him. And so shout out to him. And
congratulations.
To all the people out there who are setting goals and meeting goals, no matter how old you are. He joined the police academy later in his 20s. He didn't go to college, so he didn't really know what to do with his life, and moved around different jobs, and then finally found what he wanted to do. So it may take some people longer than others, but definitely, keep going, and shout out to those who reach it.
Yeah.
And then our second shout out goes to the Black Panther cast, who won Outstanding Performance by a Cast at the 2019 Screen Actor Guild Awards, or the SAG Awards. And not only is it great because there's a great cast and a great movie, but it is the first superhero movie to be nominated and win the award. So shout out to Black Panther.
Yeah. Really excited for them. It's like it seems like every time there's an award ceremony, they're talking about Black Panther, and I'm like, golly, this movie's gonna be like 2 years old and still get
and it got nominated for some Oscars too. So
yeah. Okay, and then the last shout out goes to Cory Booker, Senator Cory Booker, who announced his 2020 presidential run this morning. So he is the senator of New Jersey, and he is also the Democratic former mayor of Newark, who is known for his oratory prowess. Like, I mean, people just go on and on about his speeches. I haven't watched any of them. I need to, but so he entered the race that could ultimately be one of the most diverse and crowded primary fields in history.
Yeah. So
he's now the 5th Democratic person to announce that they would be, potential presidential candidate.
Yeah.
So, I mean, Trump, it's like, so shout out to Cory Booker, right? So that's awesome that he's doing that.
Yeah.
And I am always so conflicted when we are going up against, an incumbent and a Republican incumbent, and then also are like, throwing everybody out there, and so it's a good thing. It's good that so many people and people of color, and women of color are, entering the race, but it's like, dang, will that potentially undermine the potentially undermine a possible Democratic win, because it's like, once the party is so fragmented and there's so many different people in the race, and so far, have there been any Republicans to announce?
Other than Trump, no.
No?
I don't know if maybe they're just like gonna
waiting,
or maybe they're just like the Republican Party's just going to, they're confident in Trump, so they're just gonna.
And that's the scary part is that we could potentially, like, Democrats could potentially lose to Trump because our votes are so split in the primaries.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm gonna try to. I'll be hopeful. I mean, we have some time. It's still really early 2019, but things are about to kick up, and I'm kind of excited. I like, now that I'm an adult, and I understand politics a lot more, watching the debates and stuff like that, following the campaigns and everything. So that'll be exciting.
Yeah.
Okay, so now we will jump into our In the Know segment. Extra, read all about it. Our In the Know segment.
Yes. And so this week...
Oh my God, this was so sad.
Yeah. So, this has been going around social media and also in the news, but Empire star, is it Jussie?
I think so.
Smollett was attacked in Chicago. And so police say that 2 people approached him at about 2 a.m. as he was walking in the 300 block of East North Lower Walter Street and got his attention by yelling racial and homophobic slurs. He was hit and an unknown chemical substance, which they believe was bleach, was poured on him. And then a rope was apparently wrapped around his neck, which is supposed to kind of resemble a noose, before the attackers fled the scene. He also told police during a follow-up interview that they said to him, "This is MAGA country," which is, MAGA stands for Make America Great Again, during the attack. So because he's both black and gay, I saw on social media that some people were saying that there's like one tweet I saw that were like, all like the white gay people are saying this was a homophobic attack, while all the black people were saying this is, it's a hate crime against black people, but people weren't really making the connection between this was an attack against, black gay people, because they were intentional. They like used the F word, and saying like, "Aren't you that F word from that show?" And then use the N word to,
and the noose,
noose, which was racially, motivated. And so police say that they have identified in quote unquote, because what they really found is like 2 silhouettes of people of interest that they identified from a video surveillance. So they're like getting all these videos from different businesses around that or buildings around that street, and they see 2 figures, and they say that they want to ask those people questions because they might have seen something because they were there, close proximity at around that time. But as of right now, I believe what I read is that he had his broken ribs, and there's still, it's definitely like hate. It's definitely a hate crime, but a lot of people were quick to say, you can be a Trump supporter and not homophobic, like don't group all, because I guess the narrative was like, Trump supporters, there's an increase of hate by Trump supporters. And
well, I don't know I guess that depends on whether or not you believe you can support the president and not the vice president, because you vote for both.
Yeah.
And so true. It's like you opted, whoever voted for Trump also voted for Pence.
Yeah. And
we all know what Pence stands for and what he's about,
anti-gay.
Anti-gay, like blatantly so. So, can you be MAGA and not homophobic? I'm not so sure. I mean, I'm sure that there are people, I'm sure Trump has gay supporters, right? But there's probably a lot of internalized homophobia there.
Yeah. I mean, he has black supporters, Latino supporters.
Exactly. He has
Native American supporters.
So, can you be MAGA and not anti-immigrant? How? Now, you can rationalize it in your mind however you want, but no, you cannot.
Yeah, no. And the thing is, it's not, and they didn't say that, I don't know, it's like the MAGA, I don't know. They're not, I'm kind of not conflicted, but it's just there's so many layers to this because the way that they like MAGA, it stands for something different now, and it's not just Republican or conservative or religious or a Christian. It was like, this is MAGA country.
Yeah, this is like a cult.
Yeah, and so I don't know. It was nice to see the outpouring of support from people, both celebrities and non-celebrities, people who worked with him, people who met him, other queer people of color who were, sending their support through social media. But it's just like you can be rich and famous and still be a target. Like, it's just I mean, I don't know why I thought like rich famous people might be immune to the hate, but you usually
not as vulnerable.
Yeah, but you usually like wouldn't think that someone famous could be like just so easily attacked. And
my thing is like, if I just want to know, not just want to know, but I'm interested in how they plan this. Like, were they specifically targeting him, or do you think they were just looking for anybody and it just so happened to be him?
I don't know, because he did on his Instagram put like a flyer or something as to him being in Chicago, like saying that he was going to go to Chicago for a specific reason because he was visiting. And part of me makes me think like, and is he that recognized? Like, if you're MAGA and you don't watch Empire, how would you recognize it?
Empire? There's a lot of internal conflict going on there.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. Yeah, so definitely really sad and not surprised. We'll follow up with this story as well because I'm sure that he's so famous that people are going to be they're going to put unfortunately, because he's famous and rich, they're going to put the resources to identify these people. But hopefully he'll find justice, because that's traumatic. I mean, the character he plays experiences homophobia, and now he's just been a victim of it. And it's not just like, it's one thing to be verbally like attacked, but it's another thing to be physically attacked and to have like a fucking noose put around your neck.
Yeah, I heard Lee Daniels is the I guess the writer, director, creator, whatever of Empire, and he's also a gay black man, and was saying that he was gonna make sure that whoever did this to him gets put away. And and hate crime's no joke. That's like extra time that you get. So we'll keep you guys updated, but definitely if you feel inclined, go to his page and send your support in the small way that you can, so that he can know that even though there's a lot of hate, there's also a lot of love and support. And then our second story is, so there was a woman named Malaysia Goodson who's 22, and she died after falling down a flight of stairs in New York City. So she was carrying her 1-year-old daughter and the child's stroller when she fell down the stairs in Midtown 7th Avenue Station just before 8 p.m. Now, a couple days later, the authorities said that the fall may not have killed her, that it may have been a medical episode. Like, they were quick to try to kind of because for the beginning people were saying like, oh, this is such an issue with public transportation, like so many women who have strollers or have kids or have baby carriers or anything, like it's really dangerous. There should be more access. It's also opened a conversation about access for people with disabilities, but the authorities quickly were saying that while the cause of the death is pending in this case, we can say that there is no significant trauma and that this fatality appears to be related to a pre-existing medical condition, the chief medical examiner, Dr. Barbara Sampson, said in a statement. There's no indication that the fall may have caused her death, but we can't know for sure until the medical examiner lets us know. However, the death has garnered attention, with many calling for a more accessible transit system. And so, speaking from someone who just recently started taking my almost 7-week baby somewhere, like I went to the gym and I was carrying him in his baby carrier, and obviously like doors that are push are really easy for me because I can just use my back to push, but doors that have handles, I have to literally set him down and open it if I want to open the door. And so this week where we lived, it was really cold, and so I was trying to get in as fast as I could.
and people were like walking out, and they saw me struggling, and no one helped. Like I just felt, I don't know, I felt like when I was pregnant, a lot more people helped me and opened doors for me, and I don't know, just like I was surprised. And then the couple of, because I've been going to this gym for the past 4 days, and out of the people that helped, they were all women, and there's a lot of men that walked past me, and I was really surprised that they just didn't like holding the door open so I could walk in. And
I think this like present day fourth wave feminism, or whatever wave of feminism we're in, is really confusing a lot of men. And I've heard from men that, you know, it's like, well, how can you say you want this when you want equal rights and all of this stuff? And I feel like men are under the impression that women like are just, I mean, because if you saw another man struggling with his baby to get in the door, like a human being, not even just a human being, like anybody, anything, you know, struggling, you help. But for some reason now, for a lot of men, women are seen as like, I don't know, like a danger to help, you know? And it's pretty ridiculous. But I've been hearing that kind of like language a lot lately. Like, oh, how can you say, you know, oh, I don't know if I should open women's doors anymore, or like, you know, if I should do this or that to help women. What if they're offended? And I have heard actually from my partner that he's opened or held a door open for a woman, and she was like, I can do this. And I'm sure there are people like that, but when I was seeing comments about this story, because it was being spread on social media, a lot of women talked about their experience in public transportation or on the subway system, talking about how difficult and dangerous it is for them to have strollers and to try to push the stroller down the stairs, and how even if they have elevators, they don't work, and so how dangerous it actually is. And also opening the conversation for people with wheelchairs and disabilities, and then other people who have parents or grandparents who are older, just saying like, yeah, these systems are so outdated and we could use the money to fix them, but instead we want to spend billions of dollars on a wall. And so it's just kind of like this conversation of, okay, yes, maybe she had a medical episode and it wasn't that she fell down the stairs and that caused her death, but it's definitely dangerous. And I've experienced firsthand that, you know, I don't know, I mean, I'm not an unhealthy person, and I'm young, and I struggle a lot. And yes, he's little and he's only 11 pounds, but him and the carrier, it's like 20 something pounds, like or 18 pounds. It's really heavy. Plus that with the diaper bag, plus my keys, plus like only having one hand to open the door and carrying the other one. So I don't know, this story just kind of, I wanted to talk about it and bring it up because this is something that I've been more aware of now that this is my role as a parent, and how difficult it is to have to do these things, and how I just am so surprised at how little people help me. And then again, the gender difference in that it's really like the other women who, if anyone helps me, it will most likely be a woman. I'm just kind of like bringing that out there, and, you know, reminding you guys that if you see someone, if you see a mom, if you see a dad, if you see a caretaker, if you see anyone with a stroller or with a carrier, like just open the door for them, because it's really helpful. And so, you know, the kindness shouldn't stop at pregnancy. And it's just kind of like, that's how I always feel. It's like people only give a shit until the baby's born in a lot of areas. So our next in the know topic is that Beyonce is offering free concert tickets for life to motivate fans to go vegan. So the Carters want us to all go vegan. They announced a contest with a prize of free concert tickets. It's so funny because on the website I read it and it says for life with an asterisk, and then at the bottom it says 30 years.
I mean, that's okay.
That's 30 years is still something. Yeah, I mean, maybe it's like for their life. You know, because it's like if they're 40 or he's 50, then
that's true. They're like, we're not going to be doing
it's like
concerts when I'm 70.
Okay, so free concert tickets for 30 years if you sign up for their Green Print project, which is part of the green print initiative, which aims to protect the environment by increasing consumption of plant-based meals. So yeah, if you, I don't really know how the project works necessarily. So like, how do you prove that you're really going vegan? You know, can I just say I'm going vegan and then
take a picture?
Take a picture with some salad and then, you know, continue to eat meat? Because I saw on her post on Instagram that she says that she, her green print is to eat, I think she said meatless or plant-based breakfasts or something like that. So she's not fully vegan, but I guess she's
and they were saying that, you know, you could just start by replacing one meal a day. Maybe they're gonna, this is like an opening for a company where they're gonna sell food, and then they're like,
the Carters would sell,
and then they're like, this is how you could prove it, is by buying these meals.
Yeah, it has to be something. And people were speculating that they were dropping another album too. I mean, like, the hardest thing about going vegan, so like, I don't eat a lot of meat right now, but I never really have, like, meat is kind of, you know, it's like a every once in a while kind of thing, but I love cheese.
Yeah, no cheese, like, no ice cream, no milk. That would be hard for me.
How can
no eggs.
Yeah, I don't drink milk anymore. I think because, so when I was in college, I dated this guy who was allergic to milk, and I switched.
Ooh, that's sad.
Yeah, right. Like, it was just, oh my god. But I switched over to rice milk, and then after no longer dating that person, I tried to go back to regular milk, and I couldn't handle it anymore. Yeah, but I can still eat cheese and, you know, like yogurt and ice cream and stuff like that.
Yeah, and almond milk is good. So
I like almond milk. But yeah, like, cheese is what's holding me back. You know, they have really good soy based ice cream and all that stuff now. It's a nice now. It's good, I'm telling you. Trader Joe's has one that's strawberry. It's really good. So I could even do that, but the cheese that they have, the like veggie cheese or vegan cheese or whatever,
no pizza.
It's gross.
Yeah, veggie cheese.
It's gross. Like, it doesn't even melt.
Yeah, vegan cheese is gross.
Oh my god. Anyways. Okay, and then our last in the know. Oh, well, for all of y'all out there, so for all of y'all that are vegan and also part of the Beehive, this is for you. Yes. Or if you were I saw some comments that were like, I was planning on going to vegan anyways.
Yeah, and good for you, because I'm going to be honest.
Yeah, no.
It's sad that, like, even Beyonce tickets aren't going to motivate me to go vegan.
Yeah, it's like, dang, like, we're just willing to potentially
love steak.
Waste the money.
Yeah, I know. It's sad. But I'm glad other people are doing it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So good for you.
And we're encouraging other people to do it by making this announcement.
Yes.
So this is our contribution.
Yes. Technically, my baby is vegan.
Oh my God. Yes, he is vegan.
Yeah. So there you go.
Yeah. Making the world a better place. Okay. So the last in the know, thing, is the polar vortex. And so don't ask me about the science behind this. Don't actually know what it is, but I know that it's making places really cold, and it's killing people.
Yeah.
So the death toll has risen to 21 as the U.S. cold snap continues. So Cotton, Minnesota was the coldest place in the U.S. on Thursday with a low of, guess what it was?
-50.
Yes.
Oh, yeah?
Yes. -56 degrees Fahrenheit. -56 degrees. Like, what does that even mean?
Yeah, it stopped. It stopped meaning things.
Oh my God! Like, I don't think I've ever been in weather that was colder than like 30. I think that's the coldest weather I've ever been in.
I did like 20 or something when I lived in Denton, but never. I don't think, like, my body.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess technically you can't because people are dying, but and that's just people. Like, that's not the animals.
Yeah, that's true. That is actually very true. Yeah. And then Minneapolis was -23 degrees, and Chicago had a wind chill of -52 degrees.
That's great. And Chicago already gets really cold.
Yeah. And so you could think about, like, how this might be affecting some vulnerable populations, right? So a lot of older people, homeless people have been particularly at risk with warming shelters set up across different cities. Earlier this week, it was reported that 15 homeless people were found dead this week in Chicago due to frostbite. So I was looking at one of those, I had Googled this to try to look up the story, and one of those myth debunker, Mythbuster or whatever websites said that wasn't true. They claimed that they called around the city and called different police departments, and that wasn't the case. So it may not be true, but the homeless are definitely, suffering and at risk. I mean, you can just assume. And then a Good Samaritan apparently offered to pay for hotel rooms for 70 homeless people in Chicago who were camped out in tents amid the bitter cold that blanketed Chicago. The offer came after the Chicago Fire Department on Wednesday confiscated nearly 100 propane tanks given to the group of homeless people to keep them warm as temperatures sank to negative 22. The department acted after one of the donated tanks exploded. So reporters are not sure of the identity of the Good Samaritan and only knew the hotel was on the city's south side. And then a hospital in Chicago has already treated 50 patients for frostbite, and some may end up losing limbs and things like that. Half of those patients were homeless individuals, while others had jobs that required them to work outdoors. Yeah. So, I mean, if you live in any of those really cold Midwestern places, make sure that if you don't have to leave the house, you don't.
Yeah. And
just don't do it.
Yeah, I was reading that. They were like, what are some of the reasons why homeless people don't go to shelters? And one of them was, they had a traumatic event at a shelter, so they're not going to go back. And another one was, really they have pets that they don't want to be separated from. Mm-hmm. And it's like, I just also wish that they're, people would be more open and say, okay, well, you can bring your pet just for tonight because it's negative 50 degrees, and that would increase the number of people that were willing. And then the third reason is people don't want to risk losing their belongings, so they'd rather stay with their stuff. And it's just like, I think, and this is one of the things with public health and being a health researcher, is we assume that we just give them one solution, and that if we offer them the help or the services, that the people are going to come. But we don't realize that there's these other interacting, compounding factors that we don't think about, like, they might have a pet. They might. Another thing was people don't want to be separated from their families because women have to go to women's shelters and men have to go to men's shelters. Yeah. And so they'd rather stay together than be separated.
And then at a lot of the shelters that are co-ed, a lot of the times women don't feel safe there. And there have been incidences where women are sexually assaulted or things like that. And also, I mean, like I just said, they are throwing up these like temp warming centers because there aren't enough shelters for everybody. So it's like then there's variation in terms of the kind of services that these shelters offer. So some might have food and some may not. Some of them, like, you get to stay there one night and then you got to go back the next day and get in line again. So it's not guaranteed housing. I mean, we would love to think so, but
And then in the article, they were also saying, like, in addition to the homeless people, the very poor people who can't afford to warm up their homes because of heat. Bills. And so who, even though they may have a house, they're still not being able to stay warm. Yeah. Because negative 50 degrees, it still be really cold inside your house.
Yeah. We used to, we didn't have heat growing up, and we would leave the oven open, which is apparently pretty dangerous. Yeah. I think you told me it was dangerous.
Because I didn't find out till I was in college. I was like, I remember being in a class and people were talking about how I was unsafe, and I was like, oh shit, I have to tell my mom.
Yeah, like I mean, I'm pretty sure my mom still does, because like it also, it wasn't just being poor, but in California, like a lot of the houses don't, especially the older homes, they don't have like built-in heat or cold, or AC, and so like that's something that I've seen like at all the houses in Texas, is that like, well, not all the houses, but a lot of the houses, they have like a built-in heating and AC system. Like we didn't have that. We had like ceiling fans, and that was pretty much it. But over the years, because it has gotten so much colder, it's like almost necessary now. And we just, we keep the oven open. But
so for those of you who are, I mean, even people not in the Midwest, like we're not in the Midwest here, but it still got cold this week because of the, it just extended so far. So we were like in the 30s, which is cold for us. But just for everyone trying to stay warm, like look after one another. I'm really glad to know that there were people who were encouraging people not to go into work, but as we know, like, there are still places that require people to be outside, and for those people, like, it's just, and it usually happens to be people who are very vulnerable, who, like, need to go to work and can't miss work, can't
like the
miss
poor and
their
working
job.
class,
and so, you know, just stay safe as much as you can, and look out for each other, and you know, I think by the time that this episode airs, it will have passed, but we'll definitely, like, it takes until everything melts to know the extent of, like, the deaths and exactly what was impacted. Yeah,
and they were saying that if it warms up too quickly and melts too quickly, there could be flooding. So that's another thing to think about. It's just like the snow and the cold. There's just so many things. Which, you know, following, you know, Jay-Z and Beyonce's initiative to improve our environment. This is why it's so important, because you know, our
climate is
it's
up.
like, so, like, what, every year they're like, this is the coldest winter ever. No, this is the coldest winter ever. Nope, this is an all-time high, the coldest winter in the last, like, whatever 100 years. Like, it's just, I mean, how much colder can it get?
And then, like, Trump being like, what about global warming? And it's like, global warming doesn't literally just mean hot. It means that the climate is fucked up. So when it gets really, really cold or really, really hot, that's because of global warming.
You know, actually, what makes me a little bit happy, a little bit joyful, is that a lot of these conservative, anti-Al Gore people, guess where they live? In the Midwest. So I hope y'all are cold out there.
I hope,
yes, because y'all, this is global warming slapping you in the face.
Denying it isn't going to change the weather or the climate.
It's not. You thought you'd be dead by now, but you aren't. Okay, so now moving on to our What's Being Slept On segment.
So I strongly suggest that you wake the fuck up.
Now for our What's Being Slept On.
The moment you've all been waiting for.
So we're going to briefly give you an overview. Okay, spoiler alert. We're not going to give away exactly what happens, and especially since I've watched more of this season. Actually, I finished it. That's because I'm on maternity leave and all I do is watch TV. And so Ebony hasn't finished it, so we're not going to give, like, spoilers of the whole season, but we're definitely going to talk about a lot of scenes in episodes 1 to 3. So if you want to pause and then come back, this is the time for you to do that. So before we go into the episodes and what we think and what we like and didn't like, I want to just give a brief kind of overview of the show. So I was reading about the show, and apparently this was first picked up on Lifetime. So, you know, Lifetime has crazy stalker love triangle shows anyway. And then they got picked up for a second season, but at the last, I don't know if it was the last minute, but decided that they were just it was going to move to Netflix as a Netflix original series, which I think is kind of shady because technically it's not a Netflix original series.
They just slapped their name on everything.
So that made me think, like, oh, okay, these original series might not be created by Netflix. It's just under that kind of...
it's like, oh, now we own you.
But the good thing is, like, we know there's going to be a season 2 because it was picked up for season 2 for Lifetime, but it just got switched over. So I'm going to read a little bit of a summary that I got from Wikipedia because when I want to read the plots of something, I always go to Wikipedia.
Oh, really?
Yeah, of shows.
Wait, before you watch it?
No, like if I for Lost, I was like, I forgot what happened in Lost, so I'll go and I'll read it, and then I'm like, oh, okay. And then, like, to be completely honest, if I watch a season, like I watched My Crazy Ex-Girlfriend, and I missed a whole season, and I didn't want to watch that season. I just wanted to go to the next one. So I read the recaps to each of the episodes so that I didn't have to
do that.
I know a lot of people can't, and it's really shameful that I do that because it's like,
no, it's not shameful.
When is Wikipedia ever okay?
I mean, it's like, you know, because I would just stop watching the show, which is, you know, which actually did happen to me with Ozark because I got behind. Like, there was one episode that I had it playing while I was doing work, which is, you have to watch. You can't. So, like, I came back to the next episode and I couldn't follow it, and so I was like, dang, I can't watch this episode now, so I just stopped. But yeah, so
well, read the recap.
I know I should
Wikipedia
actually, because I tried to go back to watch the episode, and I think the episode was just boring or something.
Yeah,
I don't know.
So tip for all you guys: if you ever skip something, do not of course, never use Wikipedia as a site for like an academic journal. But there's good things in there.
Some college students, I think, do that.
Yeah. So this is what the synopsis kind of is on Wikipedia.
For episode 1, right?
No, for the whole season.
Oh, okay.
And then we'll go into each episode. So overall, it says that You explores the blurred lines between love and obsession and hero and villain. In the process, it looks at the potential lengths to which the idea of love conquers all is really applicable. As You is situated in modern-day New York City, it explores the dangers of social media culture with an emphasis on a lack of digital privacy.
So that love conquers all statement is like strange to me, because it's like, what are they trying to say? Like, oh, if love conquers like you being crazy?
Yeah, no, actually, I was reading about how do you watch Stranger Things?
No, I can't handle it.
Okay, well, Stranger Things is about, these twins who are like they're like friends who do some supernatural shit.
Yeah.
And so one of the girls, Millie or something, I can't recall her name, but she's like 13 in real life. And she plays like 7 in the show. She's just a character. She's an actress on the show.
Plays 7 and
I think
she's
that
13?
her name is like 7.
Oh, I thought you saying she was 7 years old. I'm like, shoot.
No. So she's an actress on the show, and in real life she's like 14 now, maybe. And she said something about how in the show it's really just about love. And a lot of people jumped on her and were like, this isn't about love at all. Like
Stranger Things or You?
You. She said that You is just really a show about love. And a lot of people jumped on her and were like, no, if you think that this is about love, then there's something deeper. And then other people were coming and were like, how can you be surprised that a 14-year-old who was born like with this, that just speaks more about society and what society is teaching girls about love than about her just being like problematic. And people were just kind of attacking her like, you're wrong, like you shouldn't be saying this, like girls look up to you, instead of saying like, oh wow, if she thinks this, then who are we to be teaching girls her age that this type of love is okay, or that this is love? First
of all, expecting a 14-year-old to be a role model is way too much pressure. Okay, so if you're now, I could see saying that to somebody who's in their 30s, some like Beyonce, like, okay, fine, you want her to be a role model for your daughters, sure. But a 14-year-old, no. Yeah, if your daughters are looking up to a 14-year-old celebrity, that you're not doing a very good job. Like like that's on you. But I mean, no. And what's crazy is like my partner said something similar. Like, not that it was about love, but something that I'm blanking on the guy's name, Joe. Something that Joe did. He was like, oh yeah, like that's like like commitment. Like he's committed to her, and it's like, what? No, you can't be committed to somebody without them knowing. Like, this is a two-way street. It can't be a one-way, like, commitment and they don't know that you are committed to them, because then it's creepy. It crosses a very bold line. I was going to say a thin line, but that line's not thin. Like, you don't get to stalk people. Yeah,
and I think that's, like, where the conversation garners. And we, Emily and I might have a different, because
you think it's love too?
Well, because as I was talking to my partner and I would say things, he'd be like, "But you're crazy." I'd be like, So the pilot starts with, it's episode 1 is the pilot. So we're introduced to the main character. So he's a bookstore manager, and his name is Joe Goldberg. And he has a run-in with this, pretty aspiring writer named Guinevere Beck. Who goes by Beck throughout the rest of the show. So of course he instantly, and it's narrated. I like that.
Yeah,
and so I like that he's speaking his thoughts throughout the whole episode, and so
so this is the thing. If you have watched Gossip Girl, right? So he's Dan from Gossip Girl.
Yes.
And this show is like Gossip Girl, also narrated, but this time it's like
true.
in his actual voice.
Not some like bitchy
random
girl. And so he starts like after this run-in, which at the time, if you don't listen to his thoughts, his actions seem normal. Some of them. So when he's talking to her and he's like, "Oh, hey, what are you doing?"
Yeah.
That is like total. It's like, oh, okay, you're just talking to someone, you're flirting with someone. But in his head, he's like, "Oh, you want me to know your name because you gave me your card when instead you could have paid with cash."
Yeah, and it's like, okay, she could have not had cash.
Yeah, and then he's like, "Oh, by the way that she dressed, she's not wearing a bra, so
like
she
did
wants
that
me to
for
see her."
me.
Yeah,
What? So she left your house. She left her house. She doesn't know you. She doesn't know she's gonna run into you at the bookstore. She chose not to wear a bra for you.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
No. And then he like, oh my God. Okay, sorry. Go ahead.
No, and so that leads him to like do internet searches about her. So of course, looking at her he Googles her, but then looks at her social media.
Yeah,
and he's like, "Oh, you have these on public, so you want the world to see. You want to be found."
Yeah,
and I was like, "Oh
like,
my God,
what?" And then he does some weird, like his social media investigating is like next level. Like he's, not just looking at her pictures like a normal person, but he's looking at her pictures, seeing who's tagged in it, seeing the language that she uses to describe this person. So it's like, oh, your brother. This is your brother. Let me go find your brother. Oh, you have a sister. Let me go find. And it's like, what? Like, what you're just like over the top.
And then he starts like not only looking at her on the internet, but also like physically following her around.
Oh, wait, he used her social media to find out where she lived.
Yes, because apparently like in social media gives you a lot of information about people.
That you wouldn't even...
where they go, places they check in. And so he was able to find her address.
And you could do Google image searches these days. So if somebody takes a picture in front of their house, you might be able to search. And so, that's essentially what he did.
So that's how he was able to figure out, like, how to physically find her and then followed her.
And then I think didn't she have something on, like, location services?
Yeah,
there was something creepy that made me be like, oh my God, I think
that's how he figured out,
need to check some stuff on my phone, these permissions.
And then he even enters her apartment while she's out. So that's like, so... I actually didn't think the social media thing was too weird because I've done that.
Yeah, but wait, for a person that you're trying to date?
No, not for
or not even trying to date.
It's to be messy and like if my friend's like, this is my ex's new girlfriend. Oh, this is your sister and y'all were here yesterday.
Yeah,
and
but there's a purpose behind that. Like that's like that's like snooping, which I feel like is different than stalking.
Yeah,
and I think snooping is okay. I think it's stalkerish, not stalking, when you meet somebody and then it's like, oh, let me take your name, information that you didn't readily give me. Like she gave him that information because he worked at a store where she was buying something, not because, oh, I'm interested in you, here's my name and my phone number. It's like, no, you went and found those things and then found her house, her address, which she didn't give you. She didn't give you any of her information, and you're using that to ultimately date her, which we're going to get to. I'm jumping the gun a little.
Yeah. So the internet sleuthing, I was like, okay, that may be a little much, but like a little, the sick, and in my household, I did not see healthy relationships.
Yeah. And
a lot of my friends growing up did not have healthy relationships. I had friends who got pregnant at in middle school. So I am very much aware and working through this in therapy that I have not been role modeled very healthy relationships.
Is this your disclaimer for I think
yes,
that this
for
is okay?
the fucked up shit I'm about to say? And so part of me was like, I don't think it was wrong that he it led him to her physical.
It led him?
Yeah,
no, this is not passive, Zelma.
That he investigated where she would be and, was like, oh, you go here, let me, quote unquote, run into you.
Yeah.
That wasn't too crazy. But the going inside her apartment was where I was like, okay, this is my line. But it's sad that I was like, okay, because this was the last thing he did in this episode, obviously there was shit beforehand that should have been like, oh no, the line was when he did this, and I missed that line. And so that's when I was like, okay, maybe I'm So when people were jumping on that 14-year-old, I was like, okay, yeah, this is a lot about me and about what I think is healthy and unhealthy. And a lot of the things that he was doing, I was like, oh, I don't think, he had good intentions. He wasn't trying to be creepy. He just is.
But he also wasn't trying not to be creepy.
Yeah.
It's like some of the things that occur. And then it's like, I'm still waiting. And again, I'm jumping the gun. But I am waiting for them to tell us who the ex-girlfriend is and what happened to her.
Yeah.
Because low-key, it sounds a little bit to me like she died.
Yeah.
Or like he killed her.
I mean, by the extent that he goes to, and how quickly he got obsessed with this girl, you're kind of like, okay, this is not his first rodeo. He has done this before.
Very experienced.
Yeah, and he's like in his 20s at this point, and so, you can only imagine his past relationships and how he has viewed women, and so... Yeah, that's, I've watched it, so I know what happens, but
They try to get you, like, it's like, and I like this, actually, this is, like, a really good writing, that they try to get you, like, there are certain things that he does, like, say, with the neighbor's kid, that make you, that make you feel like, okay, maybe he isn't all the way
He's
bad.
not, like, a piece of shit in the way that other guys are pieces of shit.
It's like, okay, he has some redeeming qualities, even though he is insane.
Yes.
And so it's like, he's not all the way off the edge. Like, he wants to feed this little boy and, give this little... But then, I don't know if this is... Maybe I watched episode 4. Which episode was it where he had the little kid buying all this stuff? So was that 3?
No. That's... Oh, wait. That could be episode... Let's see.
I think that may have been episode 3. But it's like, he... Basically, what I'm trying to say is he has certain good qualities, but just generally, he is not wrapped too tight. And I don't know, part of me feels like he knows that he shouldn't be doing what he's doing. Not even part of me. I feel like, whenever she finally did come to his apartment, it's like, that what you're doing is off because look how skittish you are. Like,
and he's like doing it on the sly, which indicates that he knows that it's not okay.
Yeah, and like a lot of he like took a lot of stuff from her apartment, and she is like just okay. I'm gonna let you actually keep going with this summary, or was that it?
Yeah, no, that was it for episode 1. That was the summary for episode 1.
Okay, because we also get introduced to like her friends.
Yes.
Who she goes to dinner with a bunch of her friends for one of the girls' birthdays, and he like sits on the other end of the restaurant and just watches her and observes like and listens to their conversations and stuff and draws all these conclusions about her friends based on this. And one of her friends just like doesn't like him, and I feel like her gut, like her intuition was good. Yeah. Even though she, as a character, may not be our favorite.
Yeah.
Is she introduced in episode 1 or episode 2?
I think when he starts following her. So episode 1.
Okay, yeah. So we're introduced to the best friend. What's her name again?
Peach.
Yeah. And so she...
Which is a stupid fucking name.
You don't like this girl.
Why don't you like
this girl?
I can't, because we're supposed to not like her.
Really? I like her.
I don't like her.
I think I feel like she's not... Now, am I going to give her an A+ in friendship? No.
Well, okay, to be fair, in episode 1, I liked her.
Yeah.
But...
Okay, so later in
not to like her.
Okay. Because I am not usually one of those people that because she's very pretty, right? She has a lot of money.
Yeah.
She's like supposed to be kind of like, she's kind of bitchy, but not in like the kind of way that's like, oh, I hate her. Yeah. But it's like, she's irritating. Like, if she rubs you the wrong way based on how she says things, and it's like, probably because she's a little bit like elitist, a little bit spoiled, arrogant, all of these things.
Yeah.
But it seems like she really cares about Beck in a kind of genuine way, And so based on her as a friend to Beck, I like, not necessarily her as a person.
That's true. No, that's true.
But yeah, so she has good intuition, and she's like, kind of watching Joe in a way that's like, all right, something sketch about you, I can tell that you're a little creepy. I don't know why, I don't know what it is, but got my eye on you.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that's all. I mean,
Yeah, episode 1 was basically just like you get a sense of how creepy he is, but that he does a good job of like, and I think it's because he has practice of not coming off as super creepy to most people.
Yeah. Yeah. Even though I think the person that works with him is an idiot.
Yeah.
And it sucks because like he seems sweet, but it's like, dude, you're so this guy that he works with is just like completely oblivious to the fact that Joe, is this episode 1 or 2? That Joe gets the ex-boyfriend.
Oh, 2.
Oh, okay.
So episode 2 is called The Last Nice Guy in New York. And so the little synopsis for this is Joe, which if you remember is the main character, is not sure what to do with Benji, who is Beck's fuckboy situation fling, who he kidnaps in an attempt to get rid of him because he sees him as a potential threat. So Benji is this rich douchey guy that Beck, which is the girl that Joe is obsessed with, is kind of like having sex with, but he doesn't treat her well. He like just has sex with her and even tells her, like there's this one scene where he's like, it looks good on you, and she's like, what? And he's like, the extra weight you've put on. And so he's like obviously like a douche. And so Joe but somehow the girl of course like still is into him, and so Joe ends up kidnapping him and keeping him in his little bookstore because he wants to get rid of him so that he can just have Beck for himself. And then in this episode, we find out that this guy is like not really that into Beck.
Trash.
And he's trash, and I don't know if I'm gonna say what he does with him because that's might spoil the episode too much for people, but you find out how crazy Joe really gets. And so this is when he actually takes a step towards like committing crimes. So
a step?
Like, okay, so it's, it's not just about stalking. Now it goes into hurting other people. And so you kind of get a sense of just how dangerous Joe is, and the fact that he was able to jump from stalking to like causing harm to someone else gives you a clue as to like, oh, this guy has done this to other people before, and how calm he is. You're like, okay, maybe he's like a psychopath. And so in this episode you kind of get a sense that they're trying to give you a sense of, okay, he is crazier than just someone who's obsessed with the girl, because now he's doing things to harm other people.
Yeah, and it's like, but it's all of his behavior is fueled by his obsession with her. So it's like, okay, if I'm obsessed with her, she's got this other guy, then I got to get rid of him, right? So, but then it's, one thing that you said that I had been wondering is like, could he be a psychopath? But psychopaths can't feel empathy, right? I don't know if I'm conflating them with sociopaths.
Yeah, I think a sociopath doesn't feel empathy, and a psychopath is like crazy.
Okay, but feels empathy?
I don't know if that is... I think a sociopath can be a psychopath, but I don't know if feeling empathy...
Oh, you can be both.
Yes, I don't know if I don't know if it, and a sociopath doesn't learn from their mistakes, whereas a psychopath can just be like a person. I think you can still feel empathy as a psychopath.
Because one thing I'm wondering is like, so the fact that he likes this kid, right? That he likes the kid. He is nice to him, gives him food and stuff like that, gives him books to read and all of that. But it's like, would he be able to feel anything for this kid if he was a
sociopath? Yeah, if he was a sociopath. Yeah.
But maybe he is pretending to feel something for this kid, or maybe it's not even a feeling. Maybe it's just like a, this kid, he needs to eat kind of thing. But then I guess he wouldn't. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't give a shit. I don't know. I think like that's where like as viewers we're supposed to be confused. Like, is he a good guy? Is he a bad guy if he cares about this little kid?
Yeah.
Is he a good guy if he hurts this other guy?
They're adding some complexity to it.
Yeah,
and he's not just and so it's like and then also in this episode, you see more of like the best friend coming in and, you know, kind of like a little bit, you know, she's like not all in for Joe. She's like kind of hesitant.
Yeah.
She's like, okay, Beck, you need to think about this, you know, like what's up with, what's really up with him and all of that. And I think, I don't know. And I'm wondering, because I started thinking, you know, like say if with my partner, like say if when we started dating, when we met, if he had been stalking me, would I have, like, is there anything, because for a while I was like, Beck, you're so dumb, like, how are you not seeing that there's some, because there would be times where he would say something and she'd be like, how did you know that?
Yeah.
You know, or how did you know I would be here? Because he's stalking you, girl. But I'm like, if I was in it, would I just be like, you know, so smitten and like, oh my gosh, this great guy likes me, and I'm, you know, and I was dating this terrible guy. So she maybe is a little bit, you know, delusional, and that's why she isn't picking up on it. But I don't know.
Yeah, and then also I think it talks about, like, in the age of social media, it's just not that big of a deal for someone to know so much about you.
Oh, yeah.
It's like,
I guess that's true.
Well, I post everything I do all the time to my social media, so the fact that you know what college I went to, where I graduated, who my friends are before I even told you, may not seem too weird.
But like, and so this is just my own, you know, something, social intelligence or something like that. Like, even if I met somebody and I already, you know, say like a friend of mine had been posting pictures of them or with them and stuff like that, so I already know who this person is, or I already know their name or recognize them, I don't think I would lead with that. Like, I don't think I would be like, oh yeah, I already know you from Instagram. Like that, you know, it's, even though that is, like you're saying, that is that is a normal thing. Like, you probably do, there are probably a lot of people that you see them and you're like, oh, I know their face from, you know, I may not know their real name, but I know their username kind of thing. Yeah. But I think that something in your mind would signal that was weird or a little bit too much. But
awkward.
He does not have that. Yeah. Or maybe he does and he's just not, I don't know. I think that this was also episode 3 where did she first see him, where he showed up at? Yeah. She took him to the party. So she takes him to a party. Yeah. But then she kind of gets caught up with some guy and, like, you know, just leaves him. And it occurred to him that, you know, because her ex-boyfriend had told, so Joe and the ex-boyfriend have an encounter, right? So if you've seen it, then you know what that encounter is. If you haven't seen it, then, you know, it's not spoiling too much. But they have an encounter, and he tells Joe, like, all these things about Beck that Joe didn't know or didn't really take seriously. It was kind of like he was telling him negative things about her. Like, you know, that she's not the person that you think she is. Yeah. And then she started to reveal some of those potential qualities that were negative by, you know, bringing him to the party as like a, you know, like, oh, this is my intellectual friend, to kind of make herself seem cooler. And it occurred to him that that's what she was doing. Like, oh, am I just here as a prop? Kind of thing. Because she literally walked into the party and then just kind of left him hanging. You know?
And in that scene, you feel bad for him. You're just kind of like, whoa, like, he's totally being used. And, at least for me, I was just kind of like...
It's because you have a soft spot for this guy.
Yeah, it's just from... I think I can't separate the actor from the... I just feel...
From Dan?
Yeah, from Dan.
I loved Dan.
Me too. I'm just kind of like, well, there's gotta be a reason. Yeah. He wouldn't be, like, super crazy. But, yeah, and so... So leading to episode 3 called Maybe, the continuation of this whole Benji situation, Beck is we're introduced to a new character, Blythe, who is another graduate student, because Beck is in graduate school getting her master's in fine arts and, like, literature. Yeah. Because she's like a writer. And so Blythe is that graduate student that's in a lot of departments that's just, like, been to Europe and, like, has something published and is super, like, you know,
I'm hella smart.
Yeah, and everything she writes is, like, super insightful, and you're just like, how the fuck does that come out of your brain?
Like a what do you call that? She's like, it's like she was born that way. Like she came out the womb just.
Yeah. And I think it's funny because there's like a scene where she like answers the phone and she's speaking in a different language, and she's like, it's my grandfather, and it's like, oh, of course you would speak a different language,
like Italian or something,
and
like,
go to Europe and do all these things. And so then you kind of see this that even you see another aspect of Beck of her being like not super confident.
Yeah, she had like imposter syndrome.
Yeah.
It was Prodigy. That's what this girl is.
Oh yeah, like yeah.
Which I didn't. Her personality was so gross.
Yeah, but it's funny because it's like we've all encountered one of those people, especially in graduate school. You encounter, and our department not so much because I feel like you see more of that in humanities.
Yeah, ours is like pretty down. I feel like our people are pretty down to earth. Yeah. We do have one person though that's a little like. Yeah, I know more than you, and it's like, okay, so
yeah,
what?
I think that's how that's how Blythe is.
Yeah.
And so Joe then doubles down on his effort to convince Beck that he is quote unquote the one for her after finding out that she is spending her time away from him hooking up with other random guys to perform what she calls a Benji exorcism. So Beck thinks that Benji is ghosting her, even though Benji is secretly being handled by Joe. And so Joe thinks that now he has an opening to be with Beck, but little does he know that Beck's actually been like hooking up with guys on Tinder on the side when he thinks that they've been hanging out. And the only way he knows this is because he's overhearing conversations with her and her friends.
Because he stole her phone.
Yeah.
We forgot to talk about that part. Yeah, he stole her phone, like, out of the cab.
Yeah, so she's really drunk and like has this like really rough night where she almost gets into an accident, and so he swipes her phone from her, and then she makes her believe that she lost it. Yeah. And so this is how he's able to
he stays logged into the iCloud.
Because you can log into, you don't have, nowadays it just follows you by your iCloud. Yeah. And so you can be on a different phone and still see what you're doing.
So make sure you change your password.
Yes, if you lose your phone. And so he was able to see where she's going, who she's texting, all her apps, all her usage, and that's how he was able to see like where she goes, what she says, and then the viewers, us, are just kind of like, okay, now we are also introduced to the fact that Beck isn't this, us and Joe, that Beck isn't this perfect girl who's just like really sweet and innocent, and is just the victim of a fuckboy, because now she's kind of herself being just kind of kind of leading Joe to believe that they're more serious than they are. I don't know. Yeah, I guess then that's the issue, because it's like they never had an exclusive talk.
Yeah, like they've been hanging out for like a week.
Yeah, that's
true. And so I feel like also the narration from his perspective kind of would lead you to believe that they are further along in their whatever they're doing than they are, like they're dating kind of thing. Because like she takes him to that party, they go on a date, right? And nothing actually, like, I think she may have kissed him, but nothing really happens like physically until later, I think I might have seen episode 4, I'm not 100%, but it's like and she introduced Joe and her ex-boyfriend to one another.
That's true.
So it's not like from her perspective that Joe was under the impression that she was completely,
no, that's a good point.
Free.
Too. Yeah.
And I'm like wondering if maybe she's just like, I'm having fun. Like, I'm getting to know this guy. He seems cool, but I'm just out here living my life kind of thing. Yeah. Trying to get over this guy who she thinks ghosted her. Yeah. Which I'm sure.
That's true. And we've all been there where we have to like do whatever we do to get over someone, and that's what, and her thing is to like sleep with people. And and so in episode 3 now we're starting to see more about Beck and more about like, okay, it's not just gonna be straightforward, guy stalks girl, guy gets girl, season's over, because this is only episode 3, and so you got to think like, what are they gonna do with the plot? And this is what they do. You're like, oh, okay, so there's going to be a whole bunch of obstacles that Joe has to get around, and the first one is this guy. And so I kind of appreciated how hard it is for him to, because I mean, and that's life too. It's like you can't control things. People are unpredictable. And so just because he got rid of this one guy who was treating her like shit doesn't mean that, oh, you know, it turns out this girl likes guys who treat her like shit. And so if this guy's gone, she's just going to go to other guys.
Yeah, there could be that. I feel like I wonder what we're learning about, you know, because a lot of times what I try to do is like, you know, I try to think about not just what's happening in the show, but also what the writers' intentions might be. Yeah. You know, and like what they're trying to get us to think about, like what's the ultimate goal, you know, like what is the show ultimately about? And I can't figure out yet what they want us to think about her.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Yeah, and I think like from watching the rest of the season and just, I think overall what we're learning is people are complex. Yeah. So people aren't what they seem. Yeah. And I think the bigger thing is for us to think about is maybe how we present ourselves to each other and in social media isn't the real us.
Yeah. Yeah. Because she, like, you know, it's like she has all these pictures of her with her friends and all this stuff, and it's like clear that these people are not really her friends. Yeah. Well, at least for the most part. I feel like Peaches or whatever is kind of her friend. Zama doesn't really care for her that much. Yeah. I need to continue watching the show and see, like, because I feel like within an episode, you see so much of the characters that you could completely change your view of them. You know, like they do something and it's like, oh shoot, this person is actually trifling, you know? Yeah.
But I think that also speaks to the theme of like everyone's good and bad. Yeah. And like especially about Joe. Like
maybe that's what the point is.
He's good and bad. Beck is good and bad. Her friends are good and bad.
Is he good and bad?
To me, Joe is good and bad. I think like
I don't know. I'm gonna have to watch more.
Yeah, there are characteristics of him or qualities of him that are good, and because I think that the relationship with the boy is genuine. I don't think that a lot of people would.
But he used him.
And then that's bad. So there's good and bad. He cares about him, but he also uses him. Yeah. I think he wants to have a partner because he wants to. You know, he wants to be a boyfriend. The things he says, he's like, I'll take care of you. I'll cook you pancakes. I'll clean your. Like he says these things in his head about how he wants to have a girlfriend. There are a lot of guys who don't. There are a lot of guys who just use girls just to have sex with them. And he wants to have this relationship with her. But the bad part is, like, he's a little psycho about it. He's willing to do
anything to get it. Which I think is, like, outweighs the good. Yes. You know? Because it's like, you can't get, like, you can't, where do you draw the line? Like, every time there's someone in her life that you don't necessarily care for, are you going to get rid of them? Yeah. You know, or it's, you know, I think that in order to be good, he has to be good to more than just her. Yes. Yeah. But I mean, there's also like what's coming through as we're talking about these people is that they're really complex characters, right? So we could see something evolve or develop in Joe that shows that maybe he is a better person than I'm giving him credit for, and that maybe Beck is, you know, a worse person than I'm acknowledging, and, you know, things, and then maybe Peach is not a very good person. I mean, there's so much potential for, and then I think Beck, you know, one thing that also showed is that she has, like, some issues with her father, right? So that could be contributing. Hopefully they let us see some of what could be making Joe the way that he is. And then it's like, okay, then there's some, you know, it's some explanation. Like, it's like clear that it, you know, she has been gravitating toward guys that are not good for her, and some of that could come from, you know, her father and her feelings of being, you know, kind of like rejected or whatever. Yeah.
No, definitely. And people are fucked up because they've been fucked by mostly parents or other relationships, and I think like this show definitely explores that.
Yeah.
No, I mean, at first, I didn't know if I was going to like this show. Everyone was talking about it. It was always one of those trending shows.
Yeah.
And then I just started watching it. I think I watched it because you told me that it was good and to watch it, and I finished it in 2 days.
Yeah.
It was so, it's really good. I can't wait for you to watch the next couple of episodes so we can talk about what you feel about Joe and what you feel about Beck, and then, like, what you feel about the good versus bad. Is it love or is it obsession?
Yeah, because my perspective could change.
Yeah, and I think that's what the writers intend.
Yeah.
And there's a season 2, so it makes you think, like,
there's that too, yeah.
Like, how are they going to extend this? Like, what's going to happen?
Yeah, I hope, I don't know, it would be cool, like, if maybe he brings Beck over to the dark side, and then maybe she becomes crazy too or something. Yeah, I don't know, but we'll see.
Yeah, so that's our our episode 1 to 3 recap. We'll do other topics, and then we'll get to episodes, the rest of the episodes of the season, and this would be really cool if this is a show that you didn't think about, but we suggest that you not only watch it because it's good, but also watch it so you can follow along with the episodes where we talk about this, because we're going
really
to
worth watching.
And we're we want you to follow along with us as we talk about it and see, like, are you an Ebony and think he's a creepy psycho, or are you a Zama and think that maybe there's a little bit of love there?
Oh, yeah, let us know.
So as always, reach out to us on Instagram, follow us, send us DMs. You can send us an email at woke.ishpodcast@gmail.com. We always love to hear feedback from you guys. If you want us to share anything, if there's an event that you guys want us to share to the listeners, if there's a shout out, if there are ideas, something that we said that you find problematic, just let us know. And you can also follow us on Twitter at
Wokeish Talk.
Wokeish Talk. And thank you for listening to us for another week. Till next week.
Bye.